Hi guys, welcome to Daily Dose of English at iQuanta. I'm Shashank Gupta, your mentor, and we are going to study about fillers today. Now, fillers play a vital role in every paper. So, whatever entrances you are planning for, fillers would already be there. More than that, it would also be important for us because they are quite helpful, right? You can get easy marks from here. So that's why fillers have to be your best friends. Let's start with the questions. Right. So the first question. Now what are we going to do is we are going to learn as it says. So the question can actually be based on grammar as well, right? So this one is actually based on tenses, fine? So you need to be very sure which one do I pick, what is the reason behind it. So the sentence goes, by the time she arrived, I dash eating dinner, fine? What are the options given across? Had finished, have finished, finished or finish, right? So out here, first thing first, it says she arrived, which means it is talking about something about past. So definitely finish cannot be my answer. Have finished, though finished is just a past participle out here, have is the main part out here which is telling me about the tense, and have is talking about present. So that's why even B part goes away. So now we are left with had finished, which is in past, it is basically past perfect, and finished, which is in simple past. So which one do I take when both of them are in past? So always remember, when we have got, I'll just write down a sentence, it becomes easier for us to understand. By the time the police arrived, the thief. Now what do I write? Two options, huh? One is ran, or it should be had run away. The sentence clearly states that the action that has happened out here has happened before the previous one. Fine? If that is the thing, in that case, I'll just write in black because I believe the color is not clear, right? So I'll just write down the sentence again. Yeah, coming back to it. So we already did that finish cannot be the answer and have finished cannot be the answer, right? Other than this, what are the thought process out here? We have by the time the police arrived, the thief ran or had run away. Fine, this is the thought process. Keeping that in mind, if I go about, what would we see? This action happened after this action happened, right? There were two sentences out here. The two sentences in the past, they never happened at the same time. One action happened before the other. Which one was that? It was the thief, right? Who had run away. So if the thief ran away and it happened before the police arrived, then it has to be super past. What is the word for the super past? The proper tense for super past is past perfect. What is it? Past perfect. And therefore, it would be not ran, but it would be had run. Easy? So let's come back. What would be my answer? By the time she arrived, would it be finished or had finished? Of course, it means that whatever happened out here happened before that, right? And therefore, I would go across with A, that is, had finished. By the time she arrived, I had finished eating dinner. Fine? So, it's easy, right? Let's go to the second question, which is based on SVA, which is subject-verb agreement. Look at this. They have given us a blank and the 4 options. It says each of the students dash given a tablet. Now I can see students written out here, which clearly means that students is plural, and I could have taken are or were or have, because these are the verbs that can easily come across with a plural form, right? But look at it carefully. Students is not the main word out here. The main word out here is each, right? It says each of the students, which means, what am I talking about? We are talking about one person at a time. And if I'm talking about one person at a time, I cannot have are, I cannot have were, and I can definitely not have, and I should be taking up is. So the right answer is B, which is. So the sentence would be each of the students is given a tablet. Am I clear with this? Let's move on to the next question. Question 3. The cat is hiding dash the bed. Okay. It says the cat is hiding dash the bed. What do? Over the bed. Now this is a simple preposition question. If I say over the bed, which means like he's actually hanging in the air, which is not possible. Is it hiding under the bed? Yes, that can be a possibility. Can it hide across the bed? No, of course not. Across means on the other side. Beside the bed. So if it is beside, it is not hiding. I can see it, right? So not possible. The only answer is under. So preposition questions, these are just the basic question. I'm just trying to make you understand how many type of questions can there be, right? But I'm telling you something, that these are just the starting phase and it can go to way beyond, right? So we need to practice every day and we need to keep a track of the playlist, right? Carry on. So the answer is under, as easy as that. Articles. It says she adopted dash unique perspective on the issue. Now this is one question that has come across many a time and students have actually done, like they have marked the wrong answer. Fine. Every time a person looks at this word, the letter U, they are like, they forget about everything, right? They simply focus, oh, if it is U, it is a vowel letter and therefore it should take an. Fine. Dear friends, the story is not about U being a vowel letter. It is about the sound, right? For that matter, if I have a word H-O-U-R, the sound of this H is not her. It is not coming across as her. Fine? It is coming across as we are just writing down something like R. Something like this, right? The pronunciation is like this. And therefore, it can definitely take an, which means I can use an out here, right? Similarly, if I say this word, and if I say this word, they both are different. This one out here is a, so that a sound is there, and that's why I can come across with an. But this sound out here is not a, it is y. Right? Like you. Okay. So if it is you, here, then I cannot take an out here. Therefore, the thought process out here would change and we would write, she adopted an. No, the answer would be A. She adopted a unique perspective on the issue. So what is the answer? A unique perspective. That is A part, right? Remember, okay, just look at it. If I say, fine, She is dash MBA. What would you write? What would you write? What would you write? She is dash MBA. What would you write? Look at this. M. Now when I say M, how does it sound? It sounds M. Yeah? This is the sound it is coming across with. And that is why, again, the sound is almost like a vowel sound. And therefore, the answer will be she is an MBA. Easy? Right? So I hope you are getting the catch of it, right? Because this is going to help us a lot in our papers, right? Next, modals based. You know what are modals? So these words are modals, right? Words like will, would, shall, should, can, could, and so on, right? Now we have got modals. They are coming across with you dash complete this form before proceedings. Now, if you look at it carefully, it actually tells us the mood of the speaker, right? It's almost like, yeah, you have to do this, something like that, right? So if I say this, can it be should? No, of course not, because should is more of an advice. You should do this. If you want to do it, or else never mind, something like that. So not should, because I have not been given across anything else that tells me that the person is just giving an advice, right? Go across to B part. What does the B part say? It says must. You must do this. Now this one is more of like, oh, it is important, it has to be done. This is your responsibility. So it is basically giving us a responsibility kind of a feeling. So I'm not going to remove it right now. You might complete this. So it simply says like, oh, it's up to you. So this is the least of them, right? Okay, so this goes away. No urgency out here. You can complete. So this is again, it's almost like it's a possibility, or it's a probability, or it is an ability, where we are talking about like, yeah, if you want, you can do this. So can again goes away. The better answer out here would be B. You must complete this form before proceeding, right? Okay. Now we are talking about determiners and quantifiers, which is like some, much, enough, any, these kind of words. They can actually quantify the things, right? Also called as determiners. There weren't dash chairs for all the guests. Now how do I remove this? The very first thing is, it is talking about N apostrophe T is basically talking about not. So which means this is a negative sentence. If it is a negative sentence, generally we do not use some. So goes. There weren't some chairs for all the guests. Does not make any sense, right? There weren't much chairs. I could have used this because it sounds good, but much is used with uncountables, right? It is used with uncountables, right? Like if this chairs would have been written as there weren't, instead of chairs, it would have been written there weren't dash food for all the guests. So if it would have been food, food is what? Food is something which is uncountable. I can never say I ate 4 food today. Can I say that? No, of course not. So therefore, what would happen is chairs is countable, and therefore much is not going to work. So we have got left with enough and any. Now when I use any, generally the word that follows should be singular. Is there any boy out here? Is there any girl out here? Is there any student out here? So we say like that. So any generally takes a singular word. Now if I say there weren't enough chairs for all the guests, it definitely works for us, and C is the right answer. Easy? Let's move on. Conjunctions. He missed the train, dash, he left late. So if you look at these two sentences, I'm joining two sentences, that's why I need conjunctions. Now the conjunctions are also, they help us in transitions, right? They help us in the changes that are occurring in the sentence. So it goes about, he missed the train and he left late. So something is happening out here. Of course, this part is actually the reason why he missed the train. As easy as that. If I say but out here, he missed the train but he left late. Of course not. They would be in contrast. So this is not a contrast thing. This is actually the reason thing. And therefore, which one is the reason word out here? One is be, which is because. Then of course there is D, which is so. But if I write so out here, he missed the train, so he left late. Does not make any sense, right? Rather, he missed the train because he left late. So that is the basic reason, and therefore we would go across with B part, which is because. Move on to the next one, 8th. Pronouns. Now these are the pronouns given across: his, their, her, its, and we are going to use it out here. But I have got two words out here. One is Reena, the other is friends. Which one, as per these words, like which one should I take? So always remember, in a sentence like this, when there is neither nor or either or, fine. In that case, you would always remember that the last word, the one which is near the verb, yeah, this is the verb, okay. So the one which is near the verb will always be the main subject, okay, the true subject. And what is it? Is it singular or plural? It is plural. So if it is plural, then my answer will be B part. That is there. Understood? Next, 9th. What do we have in here? We have got conditionals. So conditionals, of course, as you can see the sentence, if. So it says like, if this happens, then the outcome will be that, right? Something like that. If I had known, I dash you earlier. Now what do I do? So for this, you have to remember, this is basically talking about I had known. Okay? If I had known. So this is in past perfect. If it is in past perfect, I would always have to go across. First thing first, A part goes away, C part goes away. Why? Because this is conditional. So in the second part, I need would, right? So I've got two options with would. I have to choose one of them. Which one would it be? So I could have come across with would call, but this is already in past perfect. So therefore my answer has to be B part, which is, if I had known, I would have called you earlier. Fine? Which means there is no chance that it is going to happen now, right? 10th, passive voice. The cake dashed by my sister yesterday. What does it mean? The cake baked by my sister. Okay, the cake was baking by my sister. So was baking cannot happen. Why? Because look at this part, by my sister. And moreover, the verb is bake. So cake cannot bake, right? Cake can be baked, which means this is not the subject, this is object, right? If this is the object of the sentence, this means whatever comes across is the verb, but it has to be in passive form, right? And when I am writing passive, the main verb has to be in V3, which means if it is in V3, I cannot take B part because it is saying baking, right? So this cannot be passive, it has to be active. But I need a passive voice, so was baking goes away. Next, what do we have? It says yesterday. Moreover, even baked, now that I know that it is passive, I cannot take A part, it goes away. Why? Because this baked is not V3, this is V2. The cake cannot bake, which means clearly A part goes away. So we are left with C and D. Which one do I take? So is baked is talking about present, and was baked is talking about past, and the time reference given to us is past, which is yesterday, and therefore without any hesitation I can go across and mark at C. Fine? So the right answer is C. 11th question, which is based on reported speech. This is the direct speech, right? He said, I am reading a novel. So when I'm passing it to reported speech, what happens is this said part will have the effect on the verb, right? So what am I looking at? Said is past. So always remember, when I'm shifting from in a reported speech from present, when the reporting verb is said, the verb in the sentence also has to go to past only. So therefore, what is the past out here? If it is written I am reading, it has to change to am changes to past. What would be the past of am? It is was. So is reading cannot be the answer. Had read is changing the tense altogether, so cannot be answer. Reads is again present, cannot be the answer. The only answer which is possible is was reading. See, when I'm teaching you all these concepts, what I'm trying to do is I'm also trying to teach you that not only would you go about and learn these, so therefore the answer is as simple as that. What is that? The answer is was reading. Fine. Yeah. So the answer is was reading. Of course, is reading is not working, had read cannot work, and reads cannot work because of the obvious reasons. Let's move on to the next type. So these are called as gerunds and infinitives, right? Of course, as we move forward, together we are going to learn about different kind of verbs and their usage, right? Out of which is one is gerunds and infinitive. So what do we have out here? He enjoys dash horror movies. So for this, there are some verbs you need to remember. She started. Okay, she started. So what do I say? Options are to cry, or I would say crying. What is the answer? So the answer will be she started crying, not to cry. So some verbs, they do not take infinitives, they take gerunds, right? If it would have been she wanted crying or to cry, what would have answer? What would have been my answer? Of course, the answer out here would not be crying. The answer would be to cry. Fine. So different words, and they would have different kind of things. So he enjoys is one of those which would take gerunds. So what are gerunds basically? They would actually be the verb form plus ing. So as per that, if I go across, what would be my answer? It cannot be to watch, it cannot be watch, it cannot be watched, right? He enjoys watched, he enjoys watch, nothing working. So these two clearly goes away. These two options left, but remember that with enjoys we would be taking the gerund form, which is watching. So is the right answer. He enjoys watching horror movies. Easy. Next one, adjectives and adverbs, right? Adjectives are the ones which would be talking about the nouns and the pronouns, and adverbs would be the one which is talking about verbs, adverbs or adjectives, right? Keeping that in mind, let's move in and let's see what happens. She sings dash than anyone in the class. More sweet. Now sweet is an adjective, right? Sweet is an adjective. Now the question is, am I saying she is sweet, or am I saying her songs are sweet, which means her action is sweet? So the actions, we are talking about the actions. Definitely for actions or verbs, we use adverbs, right? So definitely it cannot be A or D. We are left with B and C. Either way we would use sweetly or we would use more sweetly. But look at the sentence, it says than anyone in the class, which means clearly the sentence is actually comparing. So if we want to compare which one is better, sweetly or more sweetly, the answer has to be C, which is more sweetly. As easy as that. Phrasal verbs. Now what are phrasal verbs? Look at these. The verbs are given across, but they have different kind of prepositions or adverbs coming after them. When they come together, they become phrasal verbs, right? So let's see. they might have different kind of meanings, which means you need to be very sure what do they mean. And I'm telling you, for any given paper, phrasal verbs are actually a terror, a big horrific thing for us. So you need to practice a lot for them so that you do better for you. He finally dashed his bad habits. So what would it be? Gave in. So gave in might have a different meaning. Which one would it be? So finally, which means like, okay, after a long struggle or something like that, he finally did something. So might be something good. Gave in would mean to surrender. Gave away means he's giving away things to people. And gave up means stopped, right? Gave out, again, giving out generosity. We cannot show generosity with bad habits or something like that. Gave out also means like something to fizzle out, right? The light gave out, the candle gave out, which means like the candle is not working, right? It fizzled out. So therefore, which one is the better option? Of course, we are talking about habits and we are giving them up. So therefore, gave up is the right one, which would mean that he has stopped going across with his bad habits, right? Move on. Next. She had the mechanic dash her car. Now these are causative verbs, very important for us. In this case, we would use not fix, we cannot, she had the mechanic to fix, cannot have happen, we cannot have fixed or fixing, the answer has to be B. She had the mechanic fix her car. So as you can see, these are something which is very new to you, right? So these kind of questions we have to do it again and again so that it becomes a part of our system and we do not get it wrong at any point of time, right? So until next time, I'll bring across some more questions and you can, together, we can grow towards our better future. Thank you. Till then.